Howdy to all of you out there, and welcome to our presentation. This is Christmas Eve indeed. So before I go any further, I want to wish all of you and your family a Merry Christmas indeed and a prosperous New Year 2026. While of course most of us spend time with our families, we've also grown to understand and believe that you, our 6,000 plus subscribers, have also become a part of our family. And so we took some time away just to come and spend some time with you and just to show you some neat little tricks and tips with regards to the EVM, because many people have been asking questions about how they can use this as a multimedia player. Now, just so we're clear, what I'm about to show you also applies to the SD90, SD40, even as far back as the Mid-J Pro, which are dedicated players, and also the new kid on the block, the Ketron Lounge. And if you want to save some money and all you're looking for is the multimedia playback capabilities I'm about to show you right now, then your best bet is to get the Ketron Lounge. And I'm going to put a description in the link below as to how you can go about getting that. Everything I'm going to show you right now, for the most part, applies to all of these modules. But let's start off today with the EVM right here in front of me, right? So let's switch over to this. As has been shown before, it's a very nice little box, okay, which can be controlled in many ways. Now, some people have been asking before that most of my videos, I always show you the control coming from a touch screen. And I'm going to talk about the advantage and disadvantages to some extent of using a hardwired touchscreen like this, which connects to your EVM, as opposed to going the wireless route. But for this first part of the video, I will now visit the wireless route, and I'm going to talk about using it with an iPad, such as what I have right here in front of me. So you can see there is no connection, no wires, okay, no spider wires, right? So it's, again, totally mobile. You can walk around, and that's why, for the most part, you notice that when I'm doing demonstrations on the EVM, you hardly see the box right here. It's stashed away in some corner, either back there or back there somewhere. But again, I have access to it either with the wires, with the wired connection screen, if I get the bundle, or wirelessly with this iPad. Okay, so for the first part of this demonstration, I am going to use the iPad. So let's talk about the multiplayer capabilities, all right? So if I put this here, hopefully I can center this so you can all see what I am seeing as well too. So let's go to that view, right? So this is our screen for now. So you will notice that on the EVM, just like on the other products, we have two players, right? Now the SD40 only has one player, right? But here you have two. So you can play back, you can actually have two files playing at the same time, and then you can just simply, gradually crossfade between both of them, either manually or automatically using the crossfade feature found within the unit itself. So to access the files in this machine, now this one is loaded with our Tune 1000 library alongside a bunch of other stuff. And again, if you are interested and go to our website, you can take a look at the packages to be able to access some of this for yourselves as well. Tune 1000 1.0 and 2.0, we have them all in here. And if you're interested, just drop us a line and we can get these files to you as well. Okay, so I'm going to go into player right here. And as you can see, it's broken down into different categories, right? So in this particular case, I have Sonic MIDI files. If I go into my MIDI file folder, either tap twice or tap once and hit enter, you shall see that these are arranged according to the different artists, or in some cases according to the different genres, right? There are about 4,000, yes, you heard that correctly, 4,000 MIDI files in this package, okay? So again, if I want to play a MIDI file, I just simply go to, what MIDI file I'm looking for, or what artist is it. I can search right here and say, okay, let's go into Atlanta Rhythm section, and I got this karaoke file that I would like to play. Or I can hit exit and say, nope, I made a mistake. I want to go into something else, okay? Now, let me go ahead and show you something here real quick. If you notice, the folders are being displayed first. So in this directory, I have files and I have folders. And you can train your EVM or tell it how you would like your files to be displayed. So by doing this, how would I get that accomplished? I would go into settings, and if you notice here, it says file view, right? So when I touch file view, it says order alphabetic or numeric. In this case, I want to order mine alphabetically, and directory position on top or on the bottom. In other words, it's a folder. Do I want the folders to be on the top? When I go into a folder, do I want to see folders first and then see files, or do I want to see files first and then see folders? So in this particular case, I'm going to put directory on the bottom because I want to see files first. Now when I do this and I get out of this, watch and see what's going to happen. When I get out of the player and I go back in, now when I go in here, I'm going to see at the top, before all my folders, you will now see the files. Okay? Yes. So you will see all these files are displayed now before the folders. And sometimes that might be one you want to do, or sometimes you want to see the folders before you see the files. But I can now go in and say, okay, I want to listen to, let's say, Joy to the World. Tap that twice, and the MIDI file is playing. Now you notice in this particular case as well, this one has lyrics. So it's displayed on the side over there. This is a good rendition of Joy to the World. Okay? I can also just push like that, expand it, make it bigger, or make it smaller. Okay? So we're quite flexible as to how you want to see this. That's the player volume. I can adjust the volume of the player independent of my microphone. Okay? Now with the MIDI file, like I did in the previous video, remember, certain things might not sound right the way you want them to be. I can go into GM, which is General MIDI. Okay? When I go into GM, I can now have access to all the 16 tracks. Now in this particular case, you'll notice the ones that are showing you in red, the red dot means that the track is actually active at this particular time. Okay? So what that means is I can go in there and I can change things. So for example, the contralto saxophone on track number 4 is the current lead voice. If I want to change that, so I can hold it for a second or two, and now I have controls for that particular track. Right? So let's say I want to change that lead voice to something else. I simply tap there, and let's say I want to put a pad or something, go to my pad category, and I want to make it, let's see, crystal or bell drops. Exits, and now that becomes the lead voice. Now in here, I can also go ahead and adjust the volume of that particular track, okay, or the reverb, or the chorus, or the pan. Just all these parameters are impacting just that particular track. And you see, it tells you what bank it came from, and the patch number as well. Okay? Now this is unique to the event. On the SD series, it does not display the bank number or the program change number as well. Now get out of there. Now while I'm here, let me show you something else very interesting. You can hear those drums, right? Like I always say before, sometimes when you're dealing with MIDI files, the weakest link of MIDI files is the drums, or are the drums for the most part. So one unique feature that we do have on the Ketron products, especially on the EVM, is the capability to be able to bring in live audio drums into my MIDI track. And let me show you how that is done. I'm going to exit from here right now. The song is over. I'm going to start the song again. You see there's a function here called drum restyle. So when I start playing that MIDI file, this is the MIDI drums. The drums that came with the MIDI file for the Joy to the World. I'm going to go to drum restyle, and I'm going to see now my set of styles. Okay, what it's going to do is I'm going to pick a style that sounds close to what I'm looking for, and it's going to take out the drums for that style and use with the MIDI file. So let's say I'm before a Latin crowd, let's just say for example, and I want to be able to make this sound more like a Latin beat. This is the original style. I'm going to go into Latin, and I'm going to see very similar to this. Let's say I want to use like a salsa. I'm going to touch salsa. Now, if you notice, it's playing the style, the salsa beat. Now, even though it's doing that, again, let me drop the drums a little bit. I can use the style controls. Fills and breaks. Here we go. Variation B. It's instant, huh? There's no delay, there's no lag whatsoever. I could always revert back to the MIDI drums by turning off the key stop. So when the key stop is on, I am now with the live drums. I want to go back to the original MIDI file. The drums that came with the MIDI file right here. Now the good thing about the MIDI drums is, with MIDI drums, I can go into the drum mixer and also adjust the individual elements of that particular style. So if I go to drum mixer, I can then go ahead and say, okay, I want to be able to, let's say, adjust the kick or adjust the snare or what have you, right? Just within that particular style. Now, remember, I have picked a style, right? I can go back to the audio drum and get out of there. Okay, go back again. Because sometimes there's certain parts of the drum in the MIDI file which are meant for that particular song. And so in this particular case, you don't want to go back to that MIDI drum, right? So this is just one simple example. Okay, now let's go on. You see what it did? It asked me, do you want to save now that remix? In other words, do you want to save that MIDI file with that audio drum so that the next time that you come back and use that file, it will automatically recall that audio drum. For this case, on this demo, I'm going to say no, okay? And I'm going to get back out of here and back to my player. So that was one example. So yes, you can play MIDI files with the EVM. Again, you don't have to be in one spot. I could have taken this and walked around the room and be talking to my guests and what have you, and controlling this like a DJ and playing and talking to my guests and having a drink with them. So again, this is all being done wirelessly, right? Wireless control. So that's a very nice thing. Now let's get out of here. What else can you play with the EVM? You can also play wave files, okay? This is audio now. So I have a folder here called AJAM Sonic Wave Files. And when I go in here, you notice that I have some wave demos here. So I'm going to take this one for an example. Just show you a feature. Again, of course, I have lyrics in here. Now, when you have a wave file like this, there's a feature on here which is called lead mute. If I touch that, it automatically removes the lead voice from a wave file. Right? This is a wave audio file, right? So I can do that. We can mute that. Again, wireless. Walking around the room. Of course, I'm a DJ. I can start, stop, pause. Again, instantaneous, right? Use the pause. Now this is interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. Now let's go to another popular one. Like you see, it brought the text, the files, the single files are displayed first before the folder based on my setting that I have in here. If I go now to, let's say, Barry White, okay? And I'm like, never gonna give you up, and touch that. Now, adjust the volume of the player. Again, walking around the room wirelessly. So if I change angles here, imagine you will be, something like this, sitting around somewhere in the room, and you're controlling your EVM while the EVM is over in another corner, and you're pretty much DJing or what have you, right? So stop. That's a WAV file. I'm going to hit exit, and I'm going to go back and say, okay, let's say I want to listen to Christmas songs. Why not? Go into that folder. Again, these are all within the packages that we have that we can provide for you. Just give us a shout out, give an email to us, drop us an email, and then we would be able to send this over to you as well. See, that's a WAV file. WAV file, that's again, when you're getting please.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Okay, so this is very, very interesting. Now, what else can we do on these as well? We can also do videos. Now, this is where the difference comes in between using the iPad, wireless iPad, versus using the tablet. And this has not been discussed anywhere so far, to the best of my knowledge. So when you use a wireless iPad to control your EVM, right, the functionality that you're losing versus using a wired tablet is the capability to display the video on your iPad. And let me show what I mean. If I go in here to videos, for example, I have these videos on here, right? You would notice that if I start to play the video, on your iPad, of course, it's playing. You see the control over there. See? It's playing, right? But on the iPad, you do not see the video, right? But guess what? That video is coming out and it's actually going through the HDMI output, but it's not coming to the iPad. So in this case, I have a splitter out of the event or the EVM. One comes in to control the touch screen. The other one is going out to my display, my video, to show you the video right here. Okay? But the iPad does not receive the video file. Now, when I switch over and go to my actual touchscreen, which is hardwired to the EVM, on that device, I can get the video feed because that is physically wired to the EVM. So that indeed is one of the differences, right? So on the iPad, when you use a wireless control device, you do not have the capability to watch the video on the iPad itself. But you do have the capability to watch it when you are using the external touch screen. Okay? And I will show you that in my next demonstration when I switch this out. So that was one example I wanted to show you real quick. The capability to be able to play. Here we go. Make that nice and even for you guys. Let's hold it so you don't get a glare on the screen. There you go. All right. So be able to play video files. Now, what else can we do on this? If I get out of here and I'm going to go into the other folder, there's a lot of stuff here. You know, we have a folder here as well called karaoke. Now, the karaoke folder is very nice because this is where a lot of our customers have been asking questions about being able to play CGI files or AVI. As you can see here, we have such as well here too. If I click on this, all my exes live in Texas, for example. I don't know why I chose that one. So you can see that the karaoke does display out of the HDMI output of this, right? But on your wireless tablet, you do not have the capability to display that video. There you go. Sing. There we go. So that's an MP4 file. If I stop that and I go to an AVI file, all right, women, serious woman. Sorry, woman, sensuous woman. And why I'm also showing you this is because a lot of people say, well, I can do some of this on an iPad and all that stuff. Do you really believe that the sound card that is found in a product like this is going to be similar or on par with the sound card that's found in your iPad? I would leave you to answer that question. But from those of you who know about Ketron and other manufacturers, the sound cards that are found in a dedicated product usually surpass the sound card that is found in general computing devices, and that's what makes these devices sound so good. So playing an MP3 file or playing other audio files coming from this device, in most cases, is going to sound more superior than playing the same file from your iPad. And I'm going to leave a link in the description because I'm going to do something that hasn't been done before. I'm going to play a MIDI file out of here so you can hear how it sounds. And if you want to hear how that MIDI file plays on this device, simply send me your MIDI file. We're going to play the MIDI file out of here and record it as a WAV file so you can hear the quality that is coming out of this particular product, okay? So we have AVIs, we have MP4s. Again, a lot of different file types that can be performed or that can be played on this machine, okay? So again, Multitracks is another one. Now the Multitracks, remember when we did the WAV file demonstration, we showed you how you could play a song and instantly take out the lead track by hitting the lead mute, right? Multitracks is a little bit more interesting. These are 5.1 surround sound WAV files where you actually have dedicated control or access to the individual tracks. So let's say, for an example, I'm going to play New York, New York. Okay, touch that again. So, down. So using the sliders on here, if you have the event keyboard, you're going to use the physical sliders, okay? You can bring down the different volumes with the different tracks. So in this case, for example, I can do this. Take out the bass, right? You hear that? I have control to each track. Take out the drums right there, right? The backing. So I can one by one because I have dedicated control to all of my tracks. And that's why these special files, we put them in this folder called Multitracks. So for those of you who have the AJAM package, any of those elite packages, you're going to have access to these many songs where you can have dedicated control to the individual tracks of the song. And in that case, 100% you can eliminate just the vocals, for an example, or 100% eliminate the bass, or 100% eliminate the drums. Again, this is audio, okay? These are specialized WAV files, as you can see right there, right? I'm going to switch over now to the actual physical wire so I can continue the demonstration using that. So you can see again the differences between using a wireless controller such as this versus using the wired control. So let me get to the other one and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back now and I'm using the original touchscreen. If you get the bundle package that comes with the EVM. Again, you can see that we do have wires, so we are kind of limited with regards to our motion, right? So I can put this over here, or for the sake of the camera angle, put that over here. Again, this is the event in a box. So all the stuff you see about events, it's all in here in the EVM, right? Okay, so as I was saying before, one of the differences between using the physical touchscreen, which is connected to the EVM, versus the wireless route is being able to play your video files, right? So if I get out of here now and I get back into where we had the karaoke, for an example, I'm going to go in there and let's play this one. You will notice that unlike the wireless screen, I can actually have the video playing on this screen. So that's a big difference there, right? And like we did before, that video output can actually be sent out also as a split. So I can change my screen and show you this one so you can see exactly what is happening there. So the video feed is going out to both the touchscreen that we have here and also to the touch output to your HDMI monitor. So if I go back into my other folder, right, let's say I exit from here and I want to go back into the video folder because that's where we had those video files, all right? Again, Elton John, Grateful Dead. I can come in here, for example, touch that, and now I can actually have that video playing right here, okay? And interestingly enough, I can also expand that, see? Just by simply touching the screen and making it wider, now the whole entire screen is playing the video. Of course, I lose control, but if I want to get back to my control, what do? Go back here, and that's my video file right there, right? I can pause, I can continue. And I can send that feed also out into the camera, as you can see right here. We're watching that over on this view right here. So the feed can go out. Oh, this side. The feed can go out, and you can actually have it spliced to both this screen and that. But remember, with the wireless, you cannot watch the video on your wireless. So that was a big difference I wanted to point out to you as well too. This is great. I mean, all of this coming up in this tiny little box. You'd be amazed, right? So that pretty much sums it up. We just want to talk about, again, the whole multimedia capabilities of this great machine. If you look at our description below, you will see a link there that will take you to where these packages are. For those of you who are interested, that's what we've been getting a lot of calls about the Tune 1000 library. Go ahead and send us an email and we can get this to you quickly. Again, tomorrow is Christmas Day. I'm not sure if we can get it out by tomorrow, but depends on how soon you can get that email out to us, right? So, of course, these are some of the, again, multimedia capabilities of the EVM, SD40, SD90, and the lounge. Again, like I said, I know that price is a problem. Everything we've discussed today so far has just been around the multimedia capabilities. If all you are looking for is a backing track machine, you want to have the power of the event, the drums and all that stuff, but you're just using, for the most part, 80% of your performance is on backing tracks. In other words, you're following a track, you're playing alongside a track, be that a MIDI file, be that a WAV file, an MP3, a karaoke. Then you want to look at the Ketron Lounge. The Ketron Lounge does everything we just discussed over here. Now, there's another function that has not been discussed a lot, and I'll talk about it here very briefly before I say adieu to all of you, and that is a stem. Now, for some people, they think, what does a stem do? Remember that there are only demonstrations that are given to you by Ketron, right? You can create your own stems and put in here for the song that you play. So let's dive into the stem, okay, and talk about that. So stem is very, very similar to what I showed you before in the multi-track. The difference is you have a bigger screen and a little bit more controls, right? So if I go to stem, for an example, and now I want to be able to load a stem. So when you're in the studio and you look at tracks, those are another name for the tracks are your stems. So your bass player, the recording of the bass is a stem. The recording of the drums, and the drums can be broken down into the kick, the snare, the hi-hat. Those are all stems. All those stems and all those tracks put together is what makes your song at the end of the day, your master song, which is a stereo, left and right, okay? But it's a composition of all the different elements. So in the Ketron, you're able to have 5 stems per project. So in other words, you're able to have a song that is made up of 5 parts. It could be drum, bass, guitar, orchestra, and vocals, right? 5 parts together. So you might want to have to combine, let's say, your strings and, horns and piano section to form the orchestral track, because you can only handle 5 tracks at a given time. So how does the stem really work? I'm going to go in here, I'm going to load an example. Okay, so I'm going to hit load, and you have a couple of them here on the side here. I like this one here called trap. It's very, very simple. As you touch it, you can see that it already loads keys A, nothing in number 2, nothing in track 3. Track 4 has the drums, right? And the voices, nothing yet. So you have 4 scenes. In other words, 4 variation parts. So for an example, the first scene could be your introduction, second scene could be your verse, third scene could be your chorus, and the fourth scene could be your outro or something like that. So let's see what is here for this demonstration. If I hit start, okay, that's on scene 1. Now on scene 2, you can see there's a bass that adds on there. Now, what does this all mean? I can take in and out parts as I see or as I see fit. I can go in here, for example, and I want to solo just the bass, or just the drums, or just the keys, or take out the solo, take out the bass, take out the keys, take out the drums. Again, this is all happening on scene 2. Go to scene 3. I have another part that's playing a different effect or a different instrument under the keys. Go to scene 4. I now have a vocal track, right? I can mute So this is where you can begin to arrange your tracks. For those of you who use backing tracks as your main performance, you can actually go ahead and use this, And of course, you have various functionalities. You can loop on and off. You can auto play, in other words, get to the end and start playing again. Or, there are different things you can do within each stem. This is just one stem project, right? If I go in and say, I want to load another one, again, this will be like your song. So in your case, it will be like, these will be your songs that you're going to I don't want to do a new one. I want to go into load. Let's see. And I'm going to ask, let's see. It doesn't stay on there for too long for me to make a choice, right? Besame. Okay. Hit that. It's ready to go. So here I can hear the piano, the guitar, the bass, and the drums in scene 1. Let's go to scene 2. Nothing in scene 2. Nothing in scene 3. Nothing in scene 4. So for this particular case, all the information and data is just in scene 1 for the most part, okay? So then again, of course, you can also create your own, okay? That's what new is all about too. So we're going to get into that in another video, but I didn't want to make this video too long, but just wanted to show you the power of this little instrument called the Ketron EVM, okay? So again, from our family to yours, wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Take it easy out there. Don't take too much alcohol. Be very, very considerate of others as well. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Those of you who are already done subscribing, 6,000 plus of you, thank you so much. We do appreciate your support. And again, don't, always feel free to add in the comment section what it is that you would like to see us do. These are very, very complicated products indeed. And for that reason, of course, there are going to be some subjects or some areas that some people are interested in while others are not. So please feel free to ask us, hey, AJ, how do you do this? Or how do you do this? Or can you do that? I have a Korg. Can I do this also on the Ketron? I have a Yamaha. Can I do this? I have a Roland. Because a lot of these features do exist. It's just that we might use different terminology and have different ways to go about it. Okay? All right. Ciao. And I'll catch you all in the next video.